Okay, ladies and gentlemen, sorry for the delay tonight with the other meeting going a little bit longer, but our agenda is pretty short, so we shouldn't keep you for all that long. If everybody would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, moment of silence, we appreciate that.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan?
Here.
Ms. Rivera? Here. Mr. Rotundo is absent. Mr. Miller?
Present.
Ms. Sheben? Present. Ms. Haskell? Absent. Mr. Bizarre?
Here.
Mr. Sharp?
Here.
Mr. Foreman?
Present.
Ms. Sandberg? Here. Mr. Salatas?
Present.
Mr. Ashton?
Present.
Ms. Hyduk is present.
Just for our information, Nick Cupido said he's going to try to get online. He's working on it right now.
Thank you, Bob. Chris, the presentation, Introduction of Residential Housing Age-Restricted Development Programs.
Yes, we've got a fairly informal presentation, more or less just information being presented today. We've got Phil Facenda, our attorney from Barnes & Thornburg, on the Zoom, as well as Steve Kill, developer representative for LBL Development and J3 LLC. What the town is looking to undertake this year, and as part of the requirement thereof, introduction to of residential housing and age-restricted development programs. The town is looking to do 7 housing tip areas throughout the community, 2 in the northwest, 4 in the southeast, and 1 in the southwest. One of those areas is a federal program called Age-Restricted Housing, which is a 55 and older program. That will be, or is planned to be designated in Bay Bridge, subdivision proposed by a developer and his representative, Steve Kill. Those, as part of that program, we have to have 2 generally just informational meetings, which this is one of them, to present it. That 55 or older housing program will last for approximately 25 years as the lifespan of those residential TIF districts. The other TIF districts that are being contemplated throughout the community were recently authorized by the state legislature effective July of this year, and those 6 will be in the new residential housing programs, which only run for 20 years. It will cover all 3 school districts that the community covers, and I believe all 4 townships, possibly. I'll hold off on that one. But age-restricted housing, we have the developer here to talk more about the program, but the way it generally works is that the feds require that 80% of the community be 55 or older, so that way there's very little to no impact to the schools, because there should be no children in these subdivisions, and the town can capture all of that increment that is generated by the development of that project to then use to build out other infrastructure in the community as allowed per state statute.
Okay.
Bill, do you want...
So does that mean 80% 55 and older, and then 20% can have families?
Can be, but the goal of the residential housing, the 55 or older, is to have 100% 55 or older. There's a survey attached that the developer will be required to survey those in the community to make sure that there is compliance to the federal housing program. Phil, do you want to catch up any details that I may have left off inadvertently?
Christy did a nice job. Actually, there is a program that goes along with it. I think you're referring to that program. There is a survey that is done every 2 years to make sure that they're in compliance, and the remaining requirements of the federal qualifications and the compliance are laid out in the plan, and that's really all. If anyone has any questions or wants to address the redevelopment commission, they can at this time.
Yeah, Phil, this is Bob Carnahan.
Yeah.
I would like to know who does that survey?
So the survey is conducted by the owner. Okay, they provide the survey verification at the time that the residence is occupied, and then they're required to do that survey every 2 years thereafter.
I have a question too, sir. Since this residential TIF just passed, the state house, if you will, the legislative session that ended and went active July 1, did that change anything within this document versus prior?
Actually, for the age-restricted housing, no.
Okay.
Age-restricted housing, and actually, to be technically correct, the legislature made the residential housing, they changed the structure of the residential housing a little bit. It's been around for a few years.
Mm-hmm.
But age-restricted housing and residential housing have been in the TIF statute, and age-restricted housing did not change at all.
Okay.
It was residential housing that has less requirements than it used to have.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Sure.
Anybody else have any questions for him? Okay. Chris, if you don't have anything else,
That's it, we can move on.
thank you for your presentation.
Good, thank you.
Moving on, consent agenda, approval of August 1st, 2023, regular meeting minutes. Claims, Fund 404, $0, Fund 804, $28,257.34. That happens to be spread across Cronin Associates, Veritas Group, Summer Winds Commercial, Developer Agreement for Utilities, and Legal. So that's what that $28,257 consists of. Anyone have any questions on anything there?
For Jennifer, any concerns over any of these items?
No, sir.
Okay. No more questions, I would entertain a motion, please.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Colleen,
I'll second.
second by Julie. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera? Yes. Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Ms. Sheehan? Yes. Mr. Sharp?
Yes.
Mr. Foreman?
Yes. Motion carries 6-0. New business?
Did Nick get on yet?
No.
Nick, I'm sorry, are you there, Nick?
No, he's not on.
He's not? Depending on where you're at in Tennessee, signal coverage is challenging.
He's in the mountains.
Oh, then that's challenging. That's a rough place. Okay, so moving on to new business, Explore Everyday Community Recognition Nomination. Do we have a nomination?
Yes, I'd like to nominate People's Bank.
Okay. Carnahan would like to make a nomination of People's Bank. Does anybody else have any other businesses at this time? Okay. Do we have a second for Bob's?
I'll second it.
Okay. No other questions? I'll be happy to do roll call.
Mr. Carnahan?
Yes.
Ms. Rivera?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Ms. Sheehan? Yes. Mr. Sharp?
Yes.
Mr. Foreman?
Yes. Motion carries 6-0, thank you. Approval of publication of a notice of public hearing. Chris, can you
Yeah, and I'll ask
fill us in on that, please?
Phil to probably fill in where I leave off. This is requesting approval to publicize the notice of public hearing for a joint meeting of the Redevelopment Plan Commission and Town Council to vote on establishing the ordinances that will establish the housing TIF projects that we're looking to consider. And we're looking to have that meeting on October 17th. Phil, is that accurate?
That's correct. Resolutions as opposed to ordinances, but otherwise you hit on that.
Okay.
You want me to? So Bob had asked for the proformas that we have for 4 of the 7 areas, we only requested performance for 4 of the 7. We have approximately $100 million that will be captured over the lifespan of those 4 TIF districts there.
Super. Wow, that's unbelievable. And this new residential TIF is enabling us to be able to put in infrastructure and take care of a lot of those sorts of things. Thus, the reason it was developed and passed July 1st, correct?
Correct.
And one of the things that is possibly planned is making Morris a 3-lane road.
Yes, that would be one of the contemplated uses. It is over, the captured revenue will be over 20 to 25 years, so I don't expect all of us to be here in that time. Certainly there will be a changeover in January. So the expendable uses of those funds will be written very broadly to be able to undertake a significant amount of projects that are facilitated or necessary on the east side of the community where infrastructure is lacking as compared to the west side generally. So the amount of funds could be earmarked at things like widening of Moore Street to 3 lanes, intersection improvements throughout the community to facilitate a more efficient traffic flow, water line expansion, sewer rehab, subdivision street repaving, bike trails, sidewalks, stormwater, generally anything that generally most of the stuff that the towns used existing TIF funds for in the past to do, but this time solely on the east side. Parks, and recently the state legislature also expanded the use of TIF funds to be authorized to be used on police and fire capital and operating expenses such as salaries. So Phil's an amazing attorney over there, and he will guide us to be able to write the documents flexible enough that give future councils the ability to direct those funds to projects that they view as critically important to the east side of the community.
So another thing, you just mentioned stormwater. We're struggling to take care of stormwater projects, so this would probably help us get some more projects completed.
Certainly all or most of the road paving projects that we undertake currently all have a significant stormwater component given Cedar Lake's historic developing under unincorporated Lake County standards, which did not require storm and gutter or curb and sidewalk, storm and gutter. So yes, the town would have that ability moving forward.
And part of the problem there was we've just been incorporated since 1967, and we were under the county's jurisdiction before, and that's why those things didn't happen.
You have an approximate 100-year delayed start to your counterpart communities surrounding you. So yes, this would help correct some of those issues.
Thank you, Bob. Anyone else have any questions? Okay, I entertain a motion for the approval of the publication of notice of public hearing.
I'll make the motion.
We have a motion on the floor by Ralph,
I'll second.
second by Julie. Roll call, please. Sure.
Mr. Carnahan?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera? Yes. Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Ms. Sheehan? Yes. Mr. Sharp?
Yes.
Mr. Foreman?
Yes, motion carries 6-0. I didn't have any emails of written communication. Jen, has anybody jumped on today?
No hands are raised with anything.
Okay. Would anybody in the public want to ask any questions? Public comment is now open.
Mary Jones Dixon, 8711 West 132nd Place. Could you explain to us, okay, the 5th District collects what taxes, and then does it affect any other taxing bases, like township, school boards, whatever?
Sure. In a nutshell, the TIF, tax increment financing, it takes a parcel of property, and whatever it's appraised at today, that tax structure stays the same. Once it is improved, then the capture comes into effect, and so over the next 20 years, any new improvements then get captured by the town to use for infrastructure, i.e., years ago we did a TIF on 133rd to make it a 3-lane road. Then we later on extended it from the tracks to US 41. So that's an example of the capture that we did do. The state, and we most likely will discuss the needs of these in the future with school corporations. That's part of the legal process.
So the schools,
They will be informed with a meeting by Chris.
so the schools will be affected?
They
by
have
that?
to by state law. You have to, well, they may or may not get affected. If nothing ends up happening over the course of a 20-year period and the property doesn't go up very much, then nothing's going to happen, right? The schools aren't affected. But of course, everybody knows on the property tax bill, if you pay $3,000, $1,500 goes to the schools, roughly 50%. And that's before all of the special referendums that we've done in both Crown Point as well as in the Hanover Township schools over the years. So theoretically, they could be not getting as much money as they're used to getting. Is one way of looking at it. There's pros and cons when you talk to TIF folks about the schools. We visited Carmel a while back, and they were fairly successful, and they had buy-in from the schools, so there's a right way to do it, and that's what we're hoping to do.
And then what about other taxing things like the library or the township?
That doesn't
vote?
No. Chris, do you know the answer on that? I don't think it affects. It's the same.
They're currently getting just the base value of the property now, so these projects generally have a but-for clause that they would not happen otherwise.
Right.
So there is no effect because they would not have otherwise received taxes for a project that doesn't happen. ChooseCarmel, I believe it's .com. If you type in Choose Carmel into Google, they have a great video explanation of how this has minimal to no impact on most of the surrounding entities.
Correct. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the
You're welcome.
information.
Anybody else?
Hi, Gail Brannon,
Hi, Gail.
7014 West 139th Place. I'm here with my petition to have the 4 lakefront parks put into a conservative land trust to prevent citizens' green space from being used for commercial or private development, or to ensure the land will be preserved for us today as well as for future generations to come. I know that the Potawatomi Park was transferred to the RDC Commission back in February, and I know that there were plans for it, that you had plans for that with some condominiums at some point, and I really want to stop it, but it's not just me. I have 870 signatures on this petition now to take these parks and maintain them for the citizens. They want green spaces. They don't want condominiums and buildings and little shops, and they want a space where they can just come and relax. I was here on the weekend, and the beach was full, the lakefront was full, everybody was having a great time. They come here to relax. They don't want, little quaint shops to come to shop. They come to Cedar Lake for the lake. And I want to encourage you to save these parks. And the only way to do that, to make sure 7 people don't have the control over them to dispose of them, is to put them in a land trust where 7 people can't decide for thousands of people that they don't need to have lakefront park access anymore. And, Colleen, I really appreciate you spoke pretty passionately about the parks, and
we have no intention of taking the parks from anybody. I will never
well,
vote that.
There's been stuff to the contrary. Why was the park transferred then to the RDC?
I don't honestly know the answer to that
Well,
question.
somebody knows.
100%, but
And I'm
Well, we kind of, in conjunction, worked with state legislatures to get, it's similar to what Valparaiso and Crown Point did, where they have a historic district for liquor license from the state. So the mindset really is to try to figure out ways to create economic development, shops, businesses, so on and so forth. And for example, we bought, as you remember, the Bartlett Wahlberg property.
Yeah,
We ended up building onto that park to
Right.
give more lakefront.
Right.
So if and when some pie in the sky idea meets paper to, if it hits the highway
Well, there has
and it
been-
makes some sense, then the goal will always be, at least by this council and I hope future councils, to allocate and keep park space public so that the people can enjoy the new amenities that may or may not arise. So,
What is this
that's kind
council
of
that
that.
transferred the Potawatomi Park to the RDC? And I also did see a diagram of a condominium unit on Potawatomi Park, and the residents here are not happy about it.
Hey, Gail, the concept that you're talking about, that was proposed, it never really has gone anywhere. That in particular, would have maybe had the road moved back to the west, okay? And that would have been able to be terraced off the lake, and we'd have gained space for residents. Right now, it's a cliff. It's a drop off. So I argue with you that isn't a very nice park. It's not a very nice park.
With almost $1 million budget.
Well, I disagree. I'm giving you my personal opinion. I'm not speaking on behalf of this group.
That's true.
But we're planners, we're visionaries, and we're trying to make the town better in the future, so that's my answer.
Okay, well, there was an article in the Business View magazine, a national magazine, about Cedar Lake and a, big condominium development on the lake. And so it looks like wheels have been put in motion. I just am really, really hoping to represent the residents of this community and have it stopped.
Sure.
I came last month and presented 751 signatures. I have 870 signatures I bring tonight. I'll bring more next month and the next month. How many signatures would it take to make our parks, to protect them? How many signatures would it take?
Well, we appreciate the passion you have, Gail.
Yeah.
We appreciate your passion for our town, and especially for our parks.
Okay.
So,
well, I will also, I
thank
have
you.
a petition here if you'd like to sign it, any of the council members, and show their support. Okay.
Thank you.
Who would like the petition?
You can hand them to me, that's fine. Thank you.
Well, thank you for your time and listening. Thank you.
Always.
All right.
Another? Pamela.
Pamela Davenport, 13035 Schubert Street. So in conjunction with the last lady, the article she's talking about has, hold on here, working with Schilling Development involved in a number of projects, including 4 residential and various commercial projects. We envision lakefront condos or townhouses in the area around the lake. So the only lakefront we've got left is Potawatomi. So this was published in January.
So that particular plan was to have condos where the funeral home used to be.
Okay.
If it would have ever happened, it's not happening, but if it did, and I would be okay with that, it was going to move the road, like John said, to give more space to the park. The park was still going to stay a park and green space, just with a lot of improvements. We were hoping to have sidewalks down there, a gazebo, benches, possibly some boat docks. That's really what that
Okay.
plan was.
Right, and the boat docks were going to be for the condos, that was?
For who?
From what I understand.
No, it was supposed to
And
be.
it never got off the ground.
It was
It
supposed to
never
be
was
for both.
presented to the plan commission.
There was always
Okay.
supposed to
Started
be
by the old
one.
RDC, Pamela.
Okay,
No.
I just want,
So, yeah.
again, like my husband says, beating a dead horse.
No,
I'm
no.
going to beat it because I use that park just about every day.
Right.
I have no intention of taking a park from anybody ever.
The beautification, is the main objective for our community, for our town.
I mean, what
And
I'd
it
like
goes
to
from
see instead of piers
park
is
space.
a nice beach.
I would
for
love
the
to see
kids.
that. I would
A
love
nice
to see
beach
a
area.
pathway down there that people could get there safely and a beach area because
It's hard to argue.
it's filled out here all the
Right,
time.
but, well, if you look in that area every weekend, there are boats galore
all over.
all over in that,
Yeah,
in that
because it's
particular.
nice sandbar.
Right,
Right, for sure.
because you have that little
Absolutely,
trail
I've gone
that
out there
leads-
myself on my boat. I agree with you 100%. I'd like to see a sledding hill over there.
We do use it.
Yeah.
When I
You
didn't
know,
have any trees,
so
we
for
did,
sure.
but we have used it.
But when they were talking about condos, it was not on the lake park. It was up on the cliff. It was
Okay.
never on the park.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you again, Pamela. And it's hard to argue that the past councils, including this council, has done anything but made our community better with parks. So I challenge anyone on that. I grew up here. I remember the parks we had as kids. It was pretty brutal.
Parks are definitely improved.
Yes, sir.
Hi, Kevin Toth, 9725 West 129. Just two questions on the age-restricted housing. And the man on the screen there said that there was a 2-year survey that had to be filled out. So does the homeowner fill out the survey, and who does it go to?
Mr. Lucinda still on?
Yeah, if you don't mind answering your second question, so you could possibly get both of them at the same time?
And the second one was, well, then, after the surveys are filled out, what's the enforcement mechanism for the community?
Okay, thank you. We'll get you an answer.
Okay, so federal law requires these, the first one, the survey is provided, as part of it is recorded with, I believe it's recorded with the town, and also there is a federal recording, that is, because the age-restricted housing qualifies, under federal statute. So it's required by federal law, and the town also has a vested interest under state law to receive the surveys and the reporting, because it needs, for age-restricted housing purposes under state law, it needs to continue to qualify for age-restricted housing. So the town will get a copy, as with, there is a federal filing that's required as well.
Okay. Thank you.
What about the enforcement? So if they're at,
What did you do in St. John when you were town manager there for the gates of St. John?
We didn't, I wasn't there for 2 years.
Okay, okay. Because I believe that's a similar type of
Correct.
age-restricted.
Age-restricted housing was built in St. John.
So I would imagine it's up to the town to enforce. Is that correct, Mr.?
That's correct. That's correct. And federal, they'll lose their federal exemption as well. So
Gotcha.
it is up to the town to enforce and federal requirement and federal law.
Thank you.
so this is a duty that's gonna fall to the town, so it's an expense that's gonna fall to the town also, right?
It depends how you look at it, Kevin. Is the glass half full or half empty, right?
I'm just asking a question, what's gonna happen with it, or what agency is gonna enforce these rules and make sure that when a property is sold, that it's sold to a person who qualifies? I mean, could be a lot of work involved, right?
Would that be in the HOA?
It would.
It would, Kristen.
POA or HOA is really accountable for all subdivisions. Thus, the breakdown of either, any of them is a big concern. I mean, if you gotta pay attention to your local HOA if you live in a neighborhood like yours.
I'm just asking what's gonna happen over there, so that how is this all gonna be monitored, basically, and who's gonna have that responsibility? Then just on my second comment on the residential tips, and I think there is some concern about how that's gonna affect the tax basis for a lot of agencies down the road, even the schools, the libraries, like Mary Jo said, the townships, everybody. I mean, if you look at the history of tips were designed, you okay? Tips were designed to spur development in areas where they were hard to develop.
Right.
And that was the reason for the capture of the money, to get that stuff out there. I don't think that there was any problem developing anything in these areas that we have to capture money to help these developments. They're gonna develop no matter what.
Well, this town was developed, Kevin, years ago when it wasn't.
I understand, but now this is gonna grow, this town's growing, it's going to, you're not gonna stop the development. But what I'm saying is you don't need tips to spur development in this town, okay? And that's my opinion. I think it's just going to take, because they're gonna develop, and so these other areas are gonna lose tax revenues, because these areas were gonna grow no matter what, with tips or without.
Thank you for your
The
comments.
TIF money is going to help, roads, infrastructure, not just in the new developments, but throughout town.
Hi, Rich.
Hello, Richard Teal, 11363 West 135th Place. I was just wondering, if the residential TIF does go through, how much of those funds are going to be used to finish the lake dredge? Since the last TIF money was used for that, and $3.7 million or somewhere around there.
That's a good question. None. That project for the lake dredge has been executed and funded, so it'll be up to future councils to decide where they want to use the money. So hopefully, if things work out in the future councils will try to allocate some to continue to keep the lake clean and do more dredging. But again, it took us very many years in order to come up with a way and a mechanism to dredge the lake, so as well as continue to rebuild some older subdivisions, et cetera. So that would be clearly up to future council.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Rich. Okay.
No.
Oh, we have another person?
over.
Good evening, Terry Broaders, 14513 Moore Street. I'm a little confused on the TIF. I heard a couple statements from a couple different people on the board, kind of not in conjunction with each other. You had mentioned that some of that TIF money could be used for streets and roads inside the subdivision?
No, I said, throughout the town.
So, but I also heard that some of that TIF money could be used in these developments towards infrastructure. And I made this comment before in other meetings. I don't believe, even if the TIF goes through, which I think is great, but I think that TIF money should be used for existing parts of town. Never should, because the developer's developing 550 homes and overdeveloping that part of land, but he can afford to develop that. We shouldn't be using the TIF money granted to the town to subsidize his development in any way, shape, or form, not for streetlights, not for curbs, not for sidewalks, not for storm sewers, not for anything. I think this gentleman back here said, regardless of the TIF, I gotta remember that, regardless of the TIF, the developers are gonna come anyways. They build that subdivision regardless of any of that money. So I think it should be put down in writing, and somebody should make a motion that home TIF should be used in existing conditions, being parks, roads, streets, sanitation, pipe. I mean, there's so many there's such lacking in the infrastructure in the east side of town. To think that we subsidize any developer, I mean, it's pretty rich guys, right? You guys know all three of them for the most part. This money should stay for the existing people who have built this town. You guys are going to do these developments on their back. That TIF money should be rebuilding streets, putting in the water for the people who are here already. I think Chris had mentioned that I'd asked a question about that $912,000 that you guys are going to use of taxpayer money to run that 12-inch water main down Morris to supply water to 2 new developments, maybe 3, I think. And I'm thinking to myself, Chris had mentioned, I said, well, is that going to connect every house that it goes past? Are you going to put the trunks down the side streets? I think his reply was that, well, when the wells run dry, it'll be there for them. I'm guessing you guys already know that they'll run dry eventually when you tap into that deep well and you start pushing all that water into the tanks. You guys know what's going to happen, and you want to use TIF money for developments, I think that should be for existing projects. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, what we got? I will adjourn the meeting at 7:15. Thank you.
Otis, you got another,
No,
Oh,
I was just waiting for everybody to
Oh.
finish.
okay. I didn't see anybody else standing up. I apologize.
Okay, obviously, you can't believe the written word,
you gotta
7
state
p.m.
your name and address.
Brenda Roberts,
Is it,
15008.
Brenda, can I ask you a question? Is your public comment related to RDC, or is it more pertinent?
No,
for
it's
town
Cedar
council?
Lake, Cedar Lake.
Because this isn't the town council meeting yet. This is still the RDC meeting, Redevelopment Commission.
Oh, you don't, this is not the town council?
This is not the town council
Then
meeting.
you're very late.
We are.
Yeah.
We are. I'm sorry. Thank you, though, Brenda. If you still want to say something, you're more than welcome.
Oh,
But the council meeting will start as soon
well,
as this
it's
is
for
over.
Cedar Lake, it's for,
So I didn't mean to adjourn the meeting without asking you to, I didn't see you standing up, so I apologize.
I thought I was an hour late.
Yeah, no.
Do you want
We haven't
me to
started
say
that meeting
something,
yet.
or do I have to wait now? I thought this was the most painless meeting I ever been to.
I unfortunately, Brenda, adjourned the meeting, so if you wanted to be on public
But
record,
you didn't look at me.
I apologize.
All right, good, I shall wait.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
Folks, let's take. Thank you. Could I have your attention, please? Minister's gonna do prayer.
Let us pray. We pray to the God in whom we trust. We write that on our money, we put it on our logos. Now we need your trust in us to work with each other to build your kingdom here on earth as it is in heaven. We ask that you would bring us your presence, your peace, and your guidance. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. Now the pledge. This council meeting is now called to order for September 5th, 2023. Please stand for the pledge and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Pastor Ken. Roll call, please, Jennifer. Turn this on.
Ready to go? Can we turn it
Yeah.
on? Okay. Robert Carnahan.
Here.
Julie Rivera. Here. Nick Recupido.
Here.
Ralph Miller.
Present.
Colleen Sheehan. Here. John Foreman.
Present.
Richard Sharp.
Here.
I am present. Crystal Adams.
Present.
David Austin.
Present.
Thank you. Public hearing number 1, ordinance 1456, Borrego Public Way vacation. David, you have something for us?
Mr. President, I talked with Attorney Weezer today, and he indicated we were not ready. There was a legal description issue that we're working through and a indemnification document. So requested a deferral.
Deferral for, do we know, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, or?
Probably 4.
4 weeks? Okay, so it'd be, whatever it be. October 2nd, October 3rd? Yeah, so it'd be October 3rd. There's 30 days in September, so it'd be October 3rd. Perfect. Okay. Deferred till October 3rd. 2023, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Not 2025?
Thank you, Dave. Number 2, ordinance 1460.
We're gonna make a motion to
I make a
defer.
motion to defer.
We'll defer. Motion by John,
I'll second.
second by Colleen. Questions? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan.
Yes.
Julie Rivera. Yes. Nick Recupido.
Yes.
Ralph Miller.
Yes.
Colleen Sheehan. Yes. John Foreman.
Yes.
Richard Sharp.
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Ordinance 1466, annexation ordinance, Hawkinson Farm, introductory reading was July 18th. Review of the legals, Mr. Austin.
Legals are in order. This is the public hearing. Adoption of the resolution is next.
Thank you.
This was duly advertised August 5th and August 15th in the newspapers.
Thank you, David. Reading of ordinance 1466 by title only, Mr. Foreman, please.
You bet. Turn that on. Ordinance annexing certain contiguous land to the town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana, and all matters related thereto.
Thank you, John. Reading of resolution 1336 by title only.
Town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana, resolution number 1336, a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana, approving and adopting the fiscal plan of Altoff for the annexation of certain real property commonly known as 14517 Parish Avenue in Lake County, Indiana, and all matters related thereto.
Thank you, John.
Mr. President?
Yes.
This is an 80-acre parcel that is awaiting annexation into town, surrounded on 3 sides by town municipal boundary property, and it's in the path of progress.
And is this located on Parish Avenue?
It is, Bob, in approximately the 14500 block.
Do we have any remonstrators?
Richard Teal, 11363 West 135th Place. I'd like to know how we can have any remonstrators if nobody has a packet. packet is not out, you look, and there's only 2 pages, and it's the agenda only. Bottom says that it'll be on or, around the meeting time, so how do we know what's even being discussed or voted on just because there's a reading of something? And that pretty much goes for everything on the agenda tonight.
Was it publicly advertised? Yes, Chris.
I can answer that because, A, the agenda was made public, and in most municipalities, only the agenda is made public. Here, there's overabundance and transparency. Unfortunately, the holiday weekend, we have not had the opportunity for, please bring some quiet so I can answer, please. We had uploaded it just today on our website, so it was made public before the meeting tonight, albeit late.
It's still not available because I can't view it right now on mine.
It should be made available, it was made available before the meeting started. I was informed by my administrative assistant.
So if we go online right now, we can view it?
You should be able to unless there's a technical clarification.
Not available.
Thank you, Nick.
Thank you.
There might be an IT problem.
I checked earlier today, and all that was available was the agenda, not the packet, and I checked about an hour ago. As you guys know, I'm out of town, I'm having a hard time reaching these materials. And if you go online right now, it says page not found. Having a hard time deciphering this stuff, I'm sure the residents are too, about the stuff being posted online.
And I don't care what other towns do. We post them here.
But not when you're trying to sneak things through.
Hey, nothing's being snuck through. This is properly advertised, properly published. This is not the first reading of this annexation. It won't be the last either.
This actually comes back to you for adopted reading, consideration of the annexation, the ordinance.
This is the town council, the resolution, correct, David?
It is. It's for the fiscal plan of the parcel.
Thank you. Town council discussion?
I have none, sir.
Hearing none. Town council decision on resolution number 1336. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion to approve ordinance 1466, annexation ordinance, resolution 1336, on the Hawkeye Farm property, please.
Motion by John.
What are you approving? I'm sorry.
I don't even have
Those aren't
13.
listed on here.
We-
I just want to follow.
We read both the ordinance
We read the ordinance and we read the
1466
resolution.
and the resolution as well.
So you're saying 13 stuff?
Yeah, the resolution at 1336 is what I read into the record.
And that's what we're voting on this evening.
It's not on here. No.
Resolution not on the minutes.
I just don't know what you're approving.
Are you looking at the town council public meeting agenda, folks?
Yes, we all are.
Nothing about 1336.
A, B, C is ordinance of 1456.
No, they have an old agenda.
I'm sorry,
I got one, 1466.
You must not have an updated one, I'm sorry.
They have the bad agenda. Sean,
Apologize.
John, do you want to read it in its entirety?
It's,
Did read it.
yeah, it was on my agenda, I apologize.
Yes, David?
give me a second, I'll make copies.
Okay.
There's
I just want to understand what's going on.
There is no hurry on this. Developer's been patient, worked with us on this. It's been in unincorporated Lake County ever since God put it there. It can come back to another public meeting.
You bet.
If you'd,
I would be happy to pull my, motion, since the folks have an outdated agenda and we didn't have the dockets loaded properly, so I will be happy to remove my motion from the table.
John removes his motion.
Thank you.
continue.
Take a motion to refer to the next
Want to
meeting.
make a motion?
Yeah, and I would now like to make it, well, first, Colleen, do you agree?
Yeah,
Because you seconded it, I think.
I agree to defer.
Okay. So now I'll make a motion to defer. Item number 2, ordinance 1466, annexation ordinance, Hawkins Farm.
Motion by John Foreman to defer
I'll second.
resolution
And
1336.
reading of resolution 1336.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Could the motion also include continue the public hearing?
With the continuation of the public hearing.
Thank you, Dave. You confirm the motion?
Yes, I agree.
Motion by John, confirmed by Colleen. Roll call?
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Nick Recupido?
Yes.
Ralph Miller.
Yes.
Colleen Scheeben.
Yes.
John Foreman.
Yes.
Richard Sharp.
Yes.
Yeah, and again, Mr. Chairman, folks, we apologize that we didn't know about that. So, in the future, if anybody catches this earlier, Mr. Teal or whomever, if you guys could, shoot an email to Chris, that would be very appreciated, because most of us usually get the packets on Friday, so then we may or may not be checking the actual website, so thank you, guys.
Thank you, John. Moving on, public comment on agenda items only. Any public comment on agenda items?
I'm Jane Vincent, 8711 West 132nd Place. I have a question because there wasn't a packet. So number 11, under new business, you're considering to approve a $20,000 fund to help fund the Taylor Ice Fest. The Taylor Ice Fest is a 2-day festival for 6 hours each day, 12 hours, $20,000. I was just hoping you could report to us what this money will be spent on. There's been a budget submitted, that there's a budget proposed. $20,000 for 12 hours is a lot of money. That's a lot of taxpayers' money. Then I looked up the festival, and the booths are being also rented. So you're going to have revenue from the booths, and then you're going to have revenue because you're asking a lot of businesses for donations. That was also out there. So I'm just wondering if there's a profit made, where does that profit go? In addition to, is there a budget, and is it really going to cost $20,000? Thank you.
I say we take this like our previous process and take all the questions now and we'll respond.
Okay. Any other public comments? Agenda items?
Kevin Phillips, 9725 West 129th Place. On Resolution 1337, which is the transfer of funds from the wastewater treatment to the lake dredging, I just want to say that taking $4.4 million from our wastewater utility with pending expansion costs upcoming is not being responsible to the utility customers, and transferring this money after the fact is even more irresponsible. And I think you should not vote to transfer that money. And my second comment is under your new business on the Economic Development Commission that you have under there, the 3 members, I would just ask that you put somebody from the business community on there. I think that would be a great representative, that's somebody with business knowledge and contacts within the community.
Thanks.
You can respond now if that's all of them.
Okay. Okay. Chris?
I'll go in reverse order. Kevin's, I think, was mostly informational for the council. As far as the Taylor Ice Fest, the park superintendent is coming up with a budget. This is a planning number. This is a new event, and it's to supplement and augment and make the park's initiatives even better, which has been the priority of the council since we established the park board.
Thank you.
And we do have a possibility of who gets appointed if there's a business person considered.
To the EDC, correct?
Right.
Yes. Yes. And I think there will be at least one.
Oh, it's, I'll answer it, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
There's a gentleman named Dave DeYoung, a business owner, as well as a gentleman, Ed Giordano from the Eagles, and moved into town a few years back, and then Janelle Spindler.
Branch manager is Cynthia Bank.
Cynthia Bank, so that's exactly what we've tried to do, Kevin, thank you.
Okay, consent agenda. Minutes, August 1st, 2023. Claims, all town funds, $217,490.61. Wastewater operating, $658,658.77. Water utility, $84,112.59. Stormwater, $12,570.72. Payroll for 8/17, 8/31, and 9/1/2023, $547,089.49. Motion to waive the reading of the minutes and approve the consent agenda as written. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by Julie.
I'll second.
Second by Ralph. Any questions?
Yes. I noticed several different places on the claims, there was, True Value Hardware, it said toaster. We're not buying a regular toaster for toasting bread, are we? Tim, do you know anything about
I
that?
think it's the only thing you can use a toaster for, Bob.
Yeah, but there were several different places and a lot of money, and I didn't think we were buying a toaster that was costing us a lot of money. There's no individual amounts on there.
So,
I think that toaster was at the Public Works, I think they had one and it broke.
and I'm thinking the way you're reading it, but hang on, let me get to the page so I can see exactly what you're seeing. Because what happens is True Value, because we make so many purchases per month, we pay off the statement. So we do a giant spreadsheet to capture everything into one, but then when we transfer our spreadsheet and go to enter every claim into our software, there are multiple departments' budgets that pay for the various purchases. PD makes purchases monthly there, Fire makes purchases monthly there, Parks makes purchases monthly there. But I only get about maybe 30 letters of space to have staff put descriptions in. So that's why you'll see it repeated.
So we didn't pay a lot of money for a toaster.
It was gold-plated,
I can
Bob.
pull the receipt for you tomorrow, Bob, but
Okay.
I'm assuming if it was a toaster from True Value to replace what I'm assuming was an aging one, it couldn't have been,
All right.
it had to have been de minimis.
All right, and then the other thing, I believe was the park department purchased magnets and banners from a low printing service. I think we need to use Hoosier Postal Service here in town because they pay taxes. We don't get tax dollars from Lowell.
That's the conversation that you'll have to bring up with the park superintendent then, because it is not my place to tell her where she needs to be purchasing from. If you would like to try and have that conversation with her, that's wholly up to you.
Well, that's on anything. I think if we deal with printing within the town, we need to stick locally because that business pays property tax, and if that business goes out, I'm told by the assessor after 6 months, they don't pay the same property tax, and they pay 3%, and I'm assuming that if they went out of business, the residential would be passed on with the additional cost.
Well, residential capped at 1%, so I'm not really following you with that one, but that's definitely a conversation you can have with all of the department heads.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please, Jim.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julie Rivera? Yes. Nick Rotupido?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven? Yes. John Foreman?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Ordinances and resolutions. Ordinance number 1437, Bloom annexation adoption. Public hearing on 8/15, 7-0 vote in favor. Ordinance 1437 by title only, John?
You bet. Bloom, annexation adoption. Town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana, ordinance number 1437, an ordinance annexing certain lands to the town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana, and all matters related thereto. This is off of, what, 165th?
Moore Street and approximately that.
And this date grants special permission to annex land that is not contiguous under these types of circumstances connected to utilities, et cetera.
Thank you, John.
Sum it up?
This is the adopted reading.
Thank you.
Adoptive reading, okay. Do we have a motion to adopt 1437?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Ralph,
I'll second.
second by Colleen. Questions? Roll call?
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julie Rivera? Yes. Nick Rotupido?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven? Yes. John Foreman?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes. Motion, ordinance 1437 is adopted.
Mr. President,
Yes, please.
there will be a publication now of the adopted ordinance in the newspapers.
Thank you. Ordinance number 1458, ordinance designating economic development target areas, introductory reading.
Do that.
This is the introductory reading. John, by title only.
Okay. Town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana, ordinance number 1458. An ordinance of the Town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana, designating areas within the town as economic development target areas.
Thank you, John. Chris?
I'm gonna probably turn this over to Phil pretty quickly, but this is the ordinance that designates the economic development target areas, which will then be morphed into and establish the residential housing tips that were discussed at the Redevelopment Commission meeting. Phil, do you mind filling in the blanks?
Yeah, under Indiana statute, excuse me, in order to include condominiums and townhomes in the real property on which TIF is collected, you have to declare the area an economic development target area. So for the various housing development, that is what the ordinance does.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Chris.
Chris, would you kind of explain those districts?
Yeah, similar to the previous meeting, there will be 7 residential housing areas that we're looking to establish, 2 in the northwest, 4 in the southeast, and 1 in the southwest. Otherwise known as Oak Brook, Monastery Woods North, Founders Creek, Lakeside, both original and south, Bay Bridge, and Red Cedars.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Any other questions?
No, sir.
Mr. President, I have a question.
Yes.
I guess this is a question for Phil. Phil, what binding effects would this resolution have going forward?
It's an ordinance.
It's ordinance, Nick.
Or, I'm sorry, the ordinance. What binding effects would the ordinance have?
So by designating it under Indiana statute, then you can collect. That's, the binding effect is if there are condominiums and townhomes that are built as part of the project within the TIF area, you will be able to collect TIF on those properties.
So that gives us the option to do that?
No, it's not an option. If you declare it, you would collect TIF. It's not, yeah, it's just like any, if regular residential housing, apartments or other things are developed within an area you declare as residential housing, then you're going to collect TIF on it. If you don't make this designation, then if anything is classified under Indiana law as a condominium or a townhome, you will not be able to collect TIF on it.
Okay. All right, thank you, Phil.
Sure.
And, Nick, part of this, collecting this money is going to give us the ability to fix some of these roads in the community and stuff like that also.
Okay. All right, thank you, Bob. That's a good thing.
Do we have a motion to approve 1458 or 1458? First reading. Introductory reading.
Make a motion to approve the first reading.
Motion by Julie,
I'll second.
second by Colleen. Questions? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Nick Vertupido?
I'm going to have to abstain from this vote. I need to get some more information on this.
So that's a no?
He said he abstained.
Abstain?
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes. Motion carries 6-0 with an abstention. Ordinance 1469, job description amendment, administrative assistant for the police department. Chris?
I'm going to turn this over to Chief.
All it is, council, is an update on the job description for the administrative assistant. We were in review of some of the job descriptions and making sure they're accurate, and for some reason, the administrative assistant was required to have a CDL. We weren't sure why. It doesn't drive a commercial motor vehicle.
Why?
We don't know if it was, when it was originally made, that it was just something that was
Copy.
used over and over and over.
John,
But we also updated, my administrative assistant, is in charge of all civilian employees, so I put that in there. And so we worked on it together and made it as accurate as possible.
Thank you, Chief. John,
So
by title only?
it's just an old document that you had in place, maybe from the 70s or 80s, and it's obsolete.
No, we're just updating it. It's
Yeah.
not obsolete, we're just updating it, so
So
it's
it sounds like
accurate.
it had a lot of...
It was just inaccurate.
John, by title only, please.
You bet. Town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana, ordinance number 1469, an ordinance amending town ordinance number 1150 as amended from time to time, being an ordinance establishing job employment descriptions for the employees of the town of Cedar Lake, repealing all ordinances and town code sections or portions thereof in conflict herewith, including ordinance number 1064 and all matters related hereto, amending the job description of police chief's administrative assistant job position from the town of Cedar Lake Police Department and all matters related thereto.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Chief. Any questions?
No, sir. I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance number 1469.
I'll second that.
Motion by John, second by Bob. Roll call?
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julia Rivera?
Yes.
Nick Recupedo?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes. Motion carries 7-0. We need a motion to suspend, David? Motion to suspend the rules so we can vote on this second time.
So moved.
Motion by Bob.
Second.
Second by John. Roll call?
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julia Rivera?
Yes.
Nick Recupedo?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes. Motion carries 7-0.
Town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana, ordinance number 1469, ordinance amending town ordinance number 1150 as amended from time to time, being an ordinance establishing job employment descriptions for the employees of the town of Cedar Lake, repealing all ordinances and town code sections or portions thereof in conflict herewith, including ordinance 1064 and all matters related hereto, amending the job description of police chief administrative assistant job position for the town of Cedar Lake Police Department and all matters related thereto.
Thank you, John. Need a motion for approval now.
So moved.
Motion by Bob.
I'll second.
Second by Julie. Roll call?
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julia Rivera?
Yes.
Nick Recupedo?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes. Motion, ordinance 1469 is adopted. Thank you. Ordinance 1470, amending ordinance 1114, DARE Special Non-Reverting Fund. Chris, Jen, Dave?
Bill?
Or Bill?
Council, as you can recall, we brought forward to you last few meetings ago the Geminis program, moving from the DARE program, term DARE program, to another one called Too Good for Drugs, teaching our students. This is more locally based, program that's more locally based. But in doing so and moving towards that, we realized that the ordinance was written that the funding that we receive or donations we receive explicitly talk about DARE. So we talked with Jen about just changing the terminology of it so we could use it for Too Good for Drugs program, which is it's nearly teaching identical to the same thing. The biggest upside to it is that it's able to be adjusted if locally we're having different problems than they are nationwide. So if we're having something within our region or within Lake County that we're seeing as a problem, as an example, vaping, we can adapt and build a program into that so that we start teaching our kids about vaping or something of that nature. So what we need to do is adjust the name of it from DARE to Drug Education Programs.
Okay.
That's all we're doing is asking to change the name so that we can use the funds that we've raised to continue to do the same program.
Very good. Thanks, Chief.
I have a question for him. Bill, at the public safety meeting, they talked about Crown Point having a different setup. Has that been resolved?
Yeah, Crown Point, the city of Crown Point will be teaching at MacArthur this year, yeah. 'Cause
Oh,
they can't,
so we won't be doing
yeah,
that.
the school themselves have a strict policy about teaching identical across all their schools. And since we're moving into a different program, I've reached out to the DARE instructor in Crown Point to see if he's interested in this also. He said he's going to look at it in the future, but right now he's still in DARE. So he'll be teaching the DARE program at MacArthur for now.
Okay, good to know that.
John, by title only.
You bet. Ordinance 1470, ordinance amending town ordinance number 1114, being an ordinance establishing the town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana, Police Department Drug Abuse Resistance Education, acronym DARE. program special revenue, non-reverting fund, and all matters related thereto.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Chief. Question?
No, sir.
Motion?
Make a motion to approve ordinance 1470.
I'll second.
Second by Colleen. Roll call?
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Nick Recupedo?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheeben?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Richard Turk?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Do we have a motion to suspend the rules?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Ralph?
Do you need it done pretty quickly?
No. We can wait till the next meeting.
Well,
if
I
we
think
need
I'm
to.
not agenda.
Okay.
It's up to him.
We don't start teaching the program till January. We just wanted to change the funding name so that Jen would not yell at me for trying to spend their money for the new program.
That's good enough reason right there.
Yes, sir.
Would you like to have it
It
move
is
forward?
completely up to you.
I make a motion to suspend the rules, do a second reading.
Ralph made the
Ralph
motion.
made the
Oh, that's right.
Ralph first.
Sorry, you the second,
Do
John?
you want to second it?
I will second it, thank you.
Motion by Ralph, second by John. Roll call?
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Nick Recupedo?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheeben?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Richard Turk?
Yes. Motion carries 7-0. John, by title only.
You bet. Ordinance 1470, ordinance amending town ordinance number 1114, being an ordinance establishing the town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana, Police Department Drug Abuse Resistance Education DARE program, special revenue, non-reverting fund, and all matters related thereto.
Thank you, John. Do we have a motion to adopt 1470?
So moved.
Motion by Bob,
I'll second.
second by Ralph. Roll call?
That was Bob and then Ralph, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Nick Recupedo?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheeben?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Richard Turk?
Yes. Ordinance number 1470 is hereby adopted. Thank you, everybody. Ordinance 1471, cleaning the east side water improvements, special non-reverting fund. Creating, I'm sorry, I scribbled all over. Chris, you want to do this?
Yes, this is an ordinance establishing a special non-reverting fund for the $650,000 that the county has earmarked for us. We have signed a joint interlocal agreement and sent that back to the county. We will be expecting funds relatively soon, in the upcoming weeks. So we would like to establish a non-reverting account to park that into so we can track it and send all the documentation back to the county when the funds are expended.
Very good.
Is this the one that all the other communities kind of signed? That's another one.
This is I'm not sure exactly how many communities got funds from the county through this process and to what amount. I know that not all of them were equal. Some municipalities received more, some received less.
Do we have a different interlocal agreement in here maybe that has that?
No, but we've got the interlocal agreement for the $650,000. It's been earmarked to us, and it's specifically for east side water utility related
In my own packet, it had like St. John and Sherrville and.
I think that was for something else.
I think that was a version of the county's document that showed the earmarked funds, but it was not correct because it showed the town of Cedar Lake is only receiving $180,000. The ordinance that they passed previous to that, which you received, had a different amount, so they had some discrepancies that we had to work out at the county. Luckily, we got the higher of the two amounts. Okay.
John, by title only.
You bet. Ordinance 1471, ordinance establishing a town year 2023 water improvement project special revenue non-reverting fund for the town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana, and all matters related thereto.
Thank you, John. Any additional questions?
When do we expect to receive the funds from the county?
I was gonna say, last we spoke with them, we anticipate anywhere within the next 2 to 4 weeks, I'll say.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by Colleen,
I'll second.
second by Ralph. Roll call.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Nick Recupedo?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheeben?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Richard Turk?
Yes. Motion carries 7-0. Do we have a motion to suspend the rules?
I'll make the motion to suspend the rules.
Motion by Ralph,
I'll second.
second by Colleen. Roll call?
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Nick Recupero?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Sheehan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes. Go ahead.
Ordinance number 1471, an ordinance establishing town year 2023 water improvement project, special revenue, non-reverting fund for the town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana, and all matters related thereto.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Motion by Bob, second by
I'll second.
Colleen. Roll call.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Nick Recupero?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Sheehan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes. Ordinance 1471 is adopted. Resolution 1336, Lake Ecosystem Restoration Pledge Funds Transfer Resolution, deferred from August 1st, 2023.
I'm gonna let Dave handle this one.
This is the transfer that is proposed to be made. This is the mechanics of the transfer of wastewater funds to the project funds so that they are in a segregated account in weight, if you will, for use in payment to the contractor out on the ecosystem restoration project.
Thank you.
This is necessary to fulfill your commitment with the contractor to whom you awarded the bid, and is necessary for payment of that contract price when due.
Thank you. John, by title only, please.
You bet. Town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana, resolution number 1337, a resolution authorizing the physical transfer of previously pledged funds by the clerk treasurer to the fund Eco Restoration Project.
Thank you, John. Yeah, Dave.
This has also been vetted through the town's utility financing specialist. It's been subject to checkoff from her and staff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution 1337, Lake Eco Restoration Pledge Funds Transfer Resolution.
Motion by John,
I'll second.
second by Colleen.
Julie.
Make it Julie, I'm sorry. Discussion? Roll call?
Robert Carnahan?
No.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Nick Recupero?
No.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Sheehan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes. Resolution passes 5-2. Thank you. BZA planning. Conversion of performance letter of credit to maintenance. Birchwood Farms phases 1 through 3 and 5 in the amount of $395,168.95.
Letter of credit is the People's Bank, First Source Bank, and Don's letter is attached.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the
Motion by,
performance letter credit to maintenance.
motion by John,
I'll second.
second by Colleen. Discussion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Nick Recupero?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Sheehan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Replacement of performance letter of credit, Birchwood Farms, Phase 4, in the amount of $217,722.79.
This was also a First Source Bank, and Don's letter is also attached.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Julie?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Second by Ralph. Discussion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Nick Recupero?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Sheehan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Extension performance letter of credit, Centennial Villas, Phase 3, in the amount of $174,896.05.
This is with Frontier Bank, and likewise Don's letter is attached.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Bob,
I'll second.
second by Julie. Discussion? Roll call?
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Nick Recupero?
Yes.
Ralph Miller.
Yes.
Colleen Scheeben.
Yes.
John Foreman.
Yes.
Richard Sharp.
Yes. Motion carries 7-0. Number 4, extension performance letter of credit, Rose Garden Estates, Unit 3, in the amount of $1,913,779.85.
This was the People's Bank, and likewise, Don's letter is attached.
Thank
And
you.
this is an extension, not a reduction.
Correct. Extension, yeah.
Because I don't want to give them a
No reductions, no.
They got too many issues.
And it's for $1,913,000.
Yes. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept it.
Second.
Motion by Ralph, second by John. Discussion, roll call.
Robert Carnahan.
Yes.
Julia Rivera.
Yes.
Nick Recupero.
Yes.
Ralph Miller.
Yes.
Colleen Scheeben.
Yes.
John Foreman.
Yes.
Richard Sharp.
Yes. Motion carries 7-0. Extension performance letter of credit, MacArthur Elementary School, in the amount of $312,289.
This one is with First Merchants Bank, and likewise, Don's letter is attached.
Thank you.
Motion to approve the extension performance letter of credit from MacArthur
Second.
Motion by John, second by Bob.
in the amount listed on the letter.
Thank you, John. Roll call.
Robert Carnahan.
Yes.
Julia Rivera.
Yes.
Nick Recupero.
Yes.
Ralph Miller.
Yes.
Colleen Scheeben.
Yes.
John Foreman.
Yes.
Richard Sharp.
Yes. Motion carries 7-0. Old business, Veritas Owners Representative Services Proposal. Town Hall deferred from August 1st, 2023. Chris, would you like to?
Let me find my place in the agenda. We do have a representative from Veritas here. This has changed a bit since it was last presented. It is now a not to exceed $5,000 a month. So the project's closed out. We got Rick from Veritas.
Very good.
Yeah, so the proposal that we have is, we adjusted from a lump sum fee to a not to exceed, so that way we could, as owners, reps, serve whatever the needs of the town are, but with a not to exceed per monthly basis, in order to make sure that project is as the town sees it need to be.
Could you tell me what we're getting out of this?
Sure, absolutely. So we are a group of owners reps, so I have a professional background as an architect, but we have contractors, landscape architects, et cetera. Our job is to make sure that we understand what the contract is of the CM, the architect, any vendors that we're working with, make sure that we stay on schedule, we stay on budget. So our job is really to hold everyone else's feet to the fire and make sure that we're both supplemental and expertise over a broad spectrum, and a very deep group of a team who is able to then look at the contract, look at the drawings, make sure that they are representative of what Chris and the town is asking for, and to make sure that all the things that are being asking for are able to also be scoped appropriately. So we don't want a design that looks like it's a $20 million design whenever we are making sure that we're staying within the project scope. So that's where we come in and we make sure that everyone's having a collaborative conversation, staying focused on the goals at hand in order to make sure that you guys have the best project at the end.
What happens if they fall behind? What would you do?
What happens when they fall, it was when they fall behind, not if they fall behind, right? So it's really, at that point, just, we are the ones we are aware of their contract, and so we're watching the schedule, we're making sure that we're having conversations. Hey, you said that you were going to be done with schematic design at this point. It looks like we're about 2 weeks behind. The good news is, right now, K2M is doing a great job of holding to their schedule. But in the long run, we want to make sure that everybody's playing their part, and especially as we're kind of, whenever we're dealing with the contractor and the architect, making sure that, hey, have RFIs been answered? Are there changes in the drawings that need to be updated? Is everyone looking at those? Is everyone looking at all of the submittals that are coming through in shop drawings? And so we're also reviewing those as they come, right? This contract is really only from visioning through construction documents. So our job right now is really primarily to make sure that the CM who's going to be involved is budgeting appropriately, that we're having the conversations, and that our design team is going to be making sure that they're tracking and appropriately scoped. So they can be on schedule, but if they have too much scope, then we want to make sure that we tell them early enough so that there's no surprises come bid time.
Like change orders?
Well, we definitely don't want to get into the change order world. The goal is to do it early enough, and so that's our job as oversight. So we're supplemental, and we're expertise is really what our goal as owners reps are, is to make sure that we're involved early and to get us to where the bid project is reflective of what the community wants, as well as the budget that's been approved.
So the $5,000 a month, how long does that go for?
It's as long as it's going through the construction document phase. So in the construction document phase, at that point, there will be another proposal that will come together for the construction phase, and that'll be a lump sum at that time. But at this point, we just want to make sure, as we can meet the needs that Chris and his team, and everyone that's having the conversation, that we're there as just supplemental help throughout that process to make sure everyone is holding up their end of the bargain.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Any additional questions?
No, sir.
Mr. President.
Yes.
I have a question for Jennifer Meredith.
Yes.
When do you start billing the town for these services?
When do we start billing? Not until after we have a approved proposal.
Okay. Okay. What was your original proposal, before the $5,000 a month proposal?
So the director wrote that original proposal. I do not have it. He's on a trip right now. I have our proposal, the current one that we've discussed. But as we discussed, we changed it from a lump sum fee to go through design documents to a not to exceed in order to make sure it's amenable to the needs that you guys have. And if there's things that you don't feel like you need from our team, we won't do those actions. And that's fine from our end. As long as we're being beneficial to you, that's our end goal.
So
okay. How long do you expect this contract to last?
Through construction documents. So I don't recall exactly when that is.
April 2024.
April 2024, thank you.
So this time.
Okay.
Okay. All right, thank you, guys.
Thanks, Nick. Any additional questions?
Nice job on the proposal.
Yeah. Dave, did you have something, or?
I was just going to inquire about the dates and the amounts of time.
Okay.
We're already into September. This is contemplated, it looks like August, maybe a little earlier.
Okay.
There should be some adjustment if there's consideration for this.
Yeah, it's a not to exceed 5, so. Do we have a motion?
Yeah, I'm just going to let you guys know that I have a meeting scheduled with Cliff on September 19th to go through that town hall, so I will once again be voting no on this until I can determine, with the information that Cliff gives me in the source, that a town hall, new town hall is wanted to let you guys know.
Thank you. Before we even get there, we need a motion.
I make a motion for Veritas Owners Rep Services proposal. I'll second to approve.
Motion by John, second by Ralph. Any additional questions? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julia Vera?
Yes.
Nick Recupero?
No?
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Richard Charter?
Yes. Motion carries 6-1. Thank you.
Mr. President.
Thank you.
Again, so we're clear, we need to require the vendor to give us an updated proposal that has dates current, so that before it's signed, we know exactly what the schedule is. It's very detailed in the document you have in front of you.
Yes.
But the dates are important for time and completion purposes.
Absolutely. Very good.
I understand.
Okay. Thank you. Number 2, acceptance of Founder Creek's well site deferred from August 1st, 2023, deed and license agreement for access.
So this is a license agreement for access and deed for the property. The deed is for a approximate half circle, 100 feet in diameter. for a potential well site that the developer drilled.
That's radius.
Radius.
I'm kidding you.
This has been vetted by the Barnes and Thornburg attorney handling the proposals going through the Plan Commission right now, Joe Calderon, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. And it would be the intent of the town to use some of that earmarked county money, the $650,000 that we just established a non-reverting fund for, to develop that well for municipal use.
And what is the benefit of all this?
The benefit is and according to the hydrologist, a bedrock well that could produce approximately 1,000 gallons of water a minute to supply to the municipal system here on the east side.
And that would help where our water tower is in Crystal Oaks?
That would supply more than enough water to the water tower at Crystal Oaks, especially given that that's only a 250,000 gallon tank. This well, if developed and performs as expected for our hydrologist report, should be able to fill that up pretty quickly. And that will supply enough water capacity and ideally water pressure to be able to fight fires here on the west side
East side.
Sorry, east side, yes. We do have another well we're looking on the west side, but this will supply that water into those lines that we're running.
All right, will this help when the fire department flushes the fire hydrants over there on the east side? Because right now when they flush them, MacArthur ends up having total rust in all their urinals and stuff at the school after they flush them.
That's just a part of maintaining the system, Bob. Rust on its well water, so it will not stop. That will not stop happening. I mean, the reason for flushing is to get that stuff out and protect your system, but it is a curse of well water, so that is the whole reason for doing the flushing.
This will supply...
The water department flushes the hydrants, the fire department just uses them to put out fires, so.
It's also an ISO requirement twice a year to meet the credit points.
So this would supply enough capacity within the system to be able to allow us to uninterrupted flush those systems.
She's about to show up.
Here's my cord.
I'll give it back.
I got more.
All right, we got one.
Okay.
But yes, that would help in case, because right now they only operate off the Robbins Nest well, so there would be several backup wells to that system that, when this one's drilled and made a municipal well.
I have a question for you guys. Will there be next steps involved and votes taken before an actual well is drilled and used on that side by the town?
Absolutely. I believe under new business, we have a consideration for a Fearless Midwest contract for Founder's Creek. That gets us, we have to permit through IDEM first before we can drill any wells, so we have to go through the permitting process, which that item number 7 under new business will get us through the permitting before we can do any well drilling. So there will be several next steps.
Okay, what kind of vetting does IDEM do with this?
That's a good question for IDEM at this point, and the hydrologist that will be dealing with the permits.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have a motion for the acceptance of Founder's Creek well site?
I make a motion to acceptance of the Founder's Creek well site, A, item D, B, license agreement for access.
Motion by John,
I'll second it.
second by Ralph. Questions? Roll call, Jim?
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julia Rivera?
Yes.
Nick Recupedo?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Richard Schwartz?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Moving on to new business, Bill Facenda Agreement, Economic Development, A, Revenue Bonds 2023A, J3 LBL Development Project, B, Revenue Bonds 2023B, Shilling Development Projects. Mr. Facenda, you still with us?
I am with you. I'm not quite sure what that is on the agenda. Chris, can you help? I don't have an item here.
These were the, and I don't know if they're necessarily pertinent for this, but these were emailed to us yourself, Rick, and this, I believe, was consideration for your services that the, your services are paid for.
And engagement letters, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those are engagement
Yeah, I'm
letters.
sorry.
You don't, yeah, that's how you get paid.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Those are engagement letters for those two projects.
Correct.
It's NB2A guys and NB2D.
President,
Yes,
this is all pro forma. That's what he needs to be able to do the work.
yes, okay. Thanks, Dave. Do we have a motion to approve?
I just have to ask, what kind of work would be done with this, Mr. Stoddard?
This is all the, all the tip work that goes, into declare, the various, areas that Chris has been referring to, the 7 different areas, et cetera, that the tip work behind it, and then any economic development agreements that result from it, and any bonds that would be issued as a result.
Okay, there would be any agreements that we as a council would, agree to, and then you would execute that basically, or?
We would prepare them and you guys would agree to them, if, you know, with the terms that you guys, that the city, that the town has agreed to.
Okay, all right, thank you, so.
Mr. President,
Yes, Dave.
so that it's really clear, bond counsel is specialty counsel. Financing of this nature and type in the Indiana Code requires specialty counsel and because of the nature of the opinions they render related to taxes, related to financing, related to loans and transactions and the like. It's a carved out deal. It's just, you know, you have to have somebody to do it. Phil and his firm have done it here for a long time, successfully and properly.
Yes.
What is the rate that we're going to be paying?
Depends on who they use, probably.
What's that?
Your rate, Phil? Is there a rate?
Yeah, what these will be, these are going to be fixed fee arrangements, that will be provided to the town as soon as we get further down the road.
Okay.
So they will not be billed out as hourly.
It'll be a lump sum?
Yes.
And do you know what that's gonna be?
I don't have that yet because we don't know enough about what we're doing, but we will provide that to the town council when we do.
They do have confidence in your firm. You've worked well with Lake County Solid Waste and with most stuff we've done here, so.
Work well with us, you're right, Tom.
We will provide a supplemental fixed fee, and you can, at such time, I mean, we need these for purposes of, and the document says that as well, the agreements say that as well, that we will be providing you with a fixed fee. So it's not that they're not actionable, they are. So when we know more about it, when we have a better handle, we'll provide you with our fixed fee arrangement.
Thank you, Phil.
Thank you.
Do we have a motion to approve the agreements with Mr. Basenda?
I make a motion to approve.
Motion by Julie,
I'll second it.
second by Ralph. Questions? Roll call, Jen?
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Nick Vertupido?
I didn't get an opportunity to read this whole proposal, so I'm gonna have to vote no.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes. Motion carries 6-1. Thank you, Phil. Appointment of members to the Economic Development Commission. The commission will have 3 members, 1 appointment each of the Lake County Council, Cedar Lake Council Town President, and the Cedar Lake Town Council members. I believe, Chris, the Lake County Council was Dave DeYoung, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. My appointment is Janelle Spindler. Like I said earlier, she's the branch manager of the the Cedar Lake branch of Centair. And the council member's appointment is Ed Giordano, is that correct, John? Yes. Okay. Any questions?
No, sir.
In the county?
The county's just Dave Giordano.
Who? David DeYoung. Says the letters in there. From the county.
Okay. I just couldn't remember his name.
You got it, Bob?
Yeah, I got it, I had it in front of me.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve these 3 appointments?
I'll make a motion to approve the 3 appointments.
Motion by Ralph,
I'll second.
second by Colleen. Question? Roll call, Jen?
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julia Rivera? Yes. Nick Recupero?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Sheehan?
Yes.
John Corman?
Yes.
Richard Tardy?
Yes. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you. Number 3, MOU for accident reconstruction team. Chief Fisher.
Council members, this is a MOU agreement between multiple departments to create a accident reconstruction team. We're the last ones on this to get approval. Back in January of 2022, we received notification from the county that due to their amount of crashes, serious crashes and fatals, they were unable to respond as often as they would like. And so myself and the chief from St. John decided that maybe we should come together. With it being limited resources, this team would allow officers that are working the roads to go back on the road, and they would take over the scene for serious personal injury or fatal crashes. We selected a commander. Officer Daryl Schaefer right here is in the audience with us, right here next to me in the
Okay.
Officer Schaefer has been a reconstructionist for
21 years.
21 years.
Oh,
The thing about being a reconstructionist is you really need to use it quite frequently. It's a lot of mathematics. That they're able to testify as experts in court on these legal matters. So we decided to put a team together because our reconstructionists weren't, thank the Lord, weren't getting a lot of reconstruction jobs. Since then, we've combined several departments, and we need to put this MOU together because it's going to be $500 a year. The biggest reason for that amount of money is the active 911 system. It's so that for a reconstruction team can be activated similar to the SWAT team. It just goes out on a text message that, a certain community has a crash. So our drones, and we have 1 reconstructionist on the department right now, but they've actually been in our community 4 times in the last year for some serious crashes, and it is not working phenomenally. They come in and take over the scene. Once they take over the scene, they will do all the work. Our road officers go back to working the road. They don't have to sit there and block the road off or anything. They take care of everything. So, it's working out phenomenally. So well that other towns are like, hey, can we get on that? So, it's just you got to understand a major crash scene, if it's a fatal, on average is about 4 to 6 hours of scene time. You have to shut the road down for that amount of time, because we have to collect all the data from that road. It's needed.
Yes.
So
this is where I found all the different groups that are working on this. The town of Cedar Lake, the town of
those are all approved except for ours, Bob. Everybody else has signed on it.
All right, so there's St. John, Crown Point, and Lowell. That's the community.
Dyer's also.
I left Dyer.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I think since then, Highland and Munster have come on board.
There's a total of 9
and
right
Hobart.
now. Well, 9 with Cedar Lake.
So if our officer is available, they'll respond to assist. If they're not, they don't. He has other reconstructions coming from other communities, so.
Great.
Sounds good.
Yeah, sounds real good.
I'll make a motion to approve the MOU for accident reconstruction team.
Motion by Bob,
I'll second.
second by Julie. Questions, roll calls?
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julia Rivera?
Yes.
Nick Recupero?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven.
Yes.
John Foreman.
Yes.
Richard Sharp.
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Number 4, disbursement request number 5 for the 2022A Project Trustee Fund 100-103-1163 for Police Station Project in the amount of $431,368.68. Chris?
These are, as you can see, 2 payments, one to GM, one to Veritas Group, for the progress of the project. Sue is online if you have any questions. She has verified, her, GM, Veritas, have all gone through these expenses, and this is what,
It's coming from the bond money.
correct, this is what the bond trustee. And buildings are starting to come over the ground.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve,
I'd make a motion to approve disbursement request number 5
I'll second.
for
motion by
2022.
John, second by Colleen. Questions, roll call, Jen?
Robert Carnahan.
Yes.
Julia Vera.
Yes.
Nick Recupero.
Yes.
Ralph Miller.
Yes.
Colleen Scheven.
Yes.
John Foreman.
Yes.
Richard Sharp.
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Number 5, disbursement request, I think it says 2 but it's actually number 4, I think. For 2022B Project Trustee Fund number 100-103-1164 for Fire Station Project in the amount of $735,809.54.
Yeah.
Same thing?
Same as the last, but for the fire
For the
department.
fire
so
department, okay.
33% more, check it out.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Motion by Colleen,
I'll second.
second by Ralph. Question, roll call, Jen?
Robert Carnahan.
Yes.
Julia Vera.
Yes.
Nick Recupero.
Yes.
Ralph Miller.
Yes.
Colleen Scheven.
Yes.
John Foreman.
Yes.
Richard Sharp.
Yes, motion carries 7-0. VS Engineering pay request for the Klein Avenue Town Hall sidewalk in the amount of $43,754.62. Chris?
This is for the Klein Avenue / East Side Sidewalk project to the Town Hall from the roundabout. This is to VS Engineering for survey work they've done so far on this project.
Question. I didn't think we were gonna start this thing till 2025 or,
That's construction,
oh,
yes.
so this is,
So we got to do all the preliminary engineering, survey work, right-of-way acquisition. I believe there may be a NEPA document that may need to be done.
are we getting any funds? We get
Yes.
maxed 80/20 on this,
This will be submitted to NDOT or NERC for the reimbursement,
which is from that.
which is from NDOT, correct.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve the pay request?
So moved.
Motion by Bob,
Second.
second by John. Roll call?
Robert Carnahan.
Yes.
Julia Vera.
Yes.
Nick Recupero.
Yes.
Ralph Miller.
Yes.
Colleen Scheven.
Yes.
John Foreman.
Yes.
Richard Sharp.
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Consider Peerless Pump contract for Founder's Creek.
This is a contract with Peerless Midwest, who are hydrologists and well drillers. This is to get us through the new well site survey permitting and construction permitting. So this is the permitting before we can get to the, to get approval to drill the well. So this is the next action step after accepting the land. This is not to exceed $11,850.
$11,850, Chris?
Correct.
Not to exceed, okay.
And again, the fund would be what you mentioned earlier?
Yeah, this will come out of the non-reverting fund that will
we just-
be established for the county money.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the Peerless Midwest contract.
Motion by John,
I'll second.
second by Colleen. Question? Roll call?
Robert Carnahan.
Yes.
Julia Vera.
Yes.
Nick Recupero.
Based on the fact that I'm not sure what the IDEM permitting entails and the protections it gives for the current water users in town, I have to vote no right now.
Ralph Miller.
Yes.
Colleen Scheven.
Yes.
John Foreman.
Yes.
Richard Sharp.
Yes, Motion carries 6-1. Approve Careless Midwest additional cost for Kretz Farm for the Kretz property well in the amount of $2,870.
Yes, so this was originally approved with a not-to-exceed amount of $5,800. We went over that by $2,870, so we're seeking additional funds to cover that cost out of professional consulting, which we have available just shy of $3,000 for that. And this is for a test well that was drilled on what is now the Hen property of the north side of what is now Railside Development.
Okay. Thank you, Chris.
Who bought that property?
No. We need appraisals first.
And there again,
This is work that's already been conducted.
oh, okay, so we're paying a bill.
Correct.
Okay, good.
Do we have a motion to approve the payment of this bill?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Motion by Colleen,
I'll second.
second by Julie. Questions? Roll call?
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julia Rivera?
Yes.
Nick Cupido?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheeben?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Christopher Bell, pay request for Stage 2 dredging in the amount of $1,103,594.31.
This, I believe this is a first. Yeah, this is pay request number 3. This is a large one. It's $1.1 million and some change, as you see there. This is for work that they've conducted dredging the lake to date.
That's not going to Christopher Burke, right?
No, this is
Dredge America.
Christopher Burke does all the reviews.
Okay.
We always get a cover letter from Chris Burke.
They're on construction observations.
Yeah,
so this is
okay,
their cover.
that's what I thought, I just want clarification.
You can see, I believe that's page 3 or 4, where it shows the Dredge America's invoice regarding what they've done so far. Mobilization, demo, construction engineering, as-built, operation of the dredge, and the dredging sediment removed.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve this pay request number 3?
I'll make a motion to approve pay request number 3.
Motion by Colleen,
I'll second.
second by Ralph. Questions?
Yes, where's this money coming from?
From the construction account, the ecosystem bond?
Yeah, but the bonds. From the bonds, or is this coming out of the sewer money?
No, we still have construction money left.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Roll call?
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julia Rivera?
Yes.
Nick Cupido?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheeben?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Approval for use of park impact fees for the beautification and sidewalk improvements along the lakefront area of the park of the Red Cedars in an amount not to exceed $35,000. Chris?
We've received a grant to do the public art piece out on the beach. Would like not to exceed of $35,000 from the park impact fees to get us through the project. We have received 75% of the grant amount of $10,000 already. The back half of it will be reimbursed after the project is completed, so this gets us through that construction phase. We did slightly increase the project a bit. The initial project did not include the sidewalk to the museum and the connection to the pavilion. So now we've made those connections, and when the project is done, the beach, pavilion, museum, and lighthouse will all be walkable in that area over there, and AD accessible now.
Only problem I have here, it's called Parks of the Red Cedar. It's not a park. It's the town grounds. And so I just want that clarified.
Okay.
Thank you, Bob.
I have a question. The geogrid that we removed, can we get a fire truck in there now, Nick?
No.
Does that pose a problem?
We're working on it.
Okay. You
Yeah,
guys are already working on
the
it?
chief was made aware before we started the project of our intent, and we've been working with, or talking with him and working on alternatives.
I know we're working on water on the east side, but we still have a few places in town where we have to get access. Okay. I didn't know where we were on that, thank you.
I have a question, Mr. President.
Yes, Nick.
The park impact fees, do we always have to, vote on approving spending these, park impact fees, or is there something, kind of, peculiar about this situation where we have to approve the expenditure of park impact?
That is always the practice here in Cedar Lake. When park
Okay.
impact fees are being used for capital projects or capital improvements, that money is released by action of the legislative body.
All right, thank you, Mr. Austin.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Motion by Colleen to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Julie. Questions? Roll call?
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Julie Rivera?
Yes.
Nick Vercupido?
Yes?
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes. Motion carries 7-0. Consider approving a request to use the funds in the amount of $20,000 for professional consulting funds to help fund the Taylor Heights Fest.
So this is a new festival that's being started. The best way I can kind of describe this, if it's approved in whatever amount, would be seed money for the event to get it up and running. We do have regularly annual ongoing events that still consume a percentage of town taxpayer funds that have been going on for quite some time. This is essentially a down payment or seed payment to get this project up and going. I do believe that the Parks Department also plans on utilizing some of their funds as well, so this is just to supplement it. We do have the funds within professional consulting to cover this amount.
Awesome.
Funds are available?
No, it's great to have the Parks Department rock and rolling. This is awesome.
Should be a nice winter event. Hopefully it's not winter.
I'd like to make a motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by John, second by Colleen. Questions? Roll call, Jen?
I just have one question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Maybe Jen can answer. What is the professional consulting fund? What is it usually used for?
Professional.
I think fund might be a typo in there. Professional consulting is a line item within town council's budget. So professional consulting for any time we engage, like if we engage with Veritas Group, they're paid out of a professional consulting line item. If we engage with our financial consultants, they're paid out of that line item.
Okay.
Anybody who's providing those professional services, yeah. It's out of the general fund. The department is town council. It is line 313 is what we have it on the books as. That's professional consulting.
Okay.
And who's the consultant that they're using?
This would not necessarily be for any one consultant. It would be as they get a budget, they can then essentially submit that to the council for appropriateness. There may be a transfer that may need to be done, because this may be for supplies. I know they've had discussions such as purchasing big tents, potential little heater areas to keep people warm if it's not 60 degrees in December, which it could possibly be, or it could be freezing. Just to get this, to buy physical supplies or consultant stuff. I think like bands could be another use, or choirs. I do believe that given that it's a Christmas-themed event, there's probably going to be choirs, so things of that nature. Advertising could be another.
What if it snows and we have a bad snowstorm and then have to cancel it?
Well, we're not going to cancel because of snow, because we hope it snows for a Christmas event. But we're preparing for any and all adverse weather that could come our way, whether it be a abnormal, a hot December or a cold and snowy December.
Super. Awesome.
Thank you, Chris. We have a motion by John, second by Colleen. Roll call, please, Jennifer.
Robert Carnahan?
I'm going to vote no because it's a lot of money and I don't know what we're getting for it.
Julie Rivera? Yes. Nick Recupero?
I haven't been able to get this section of the packet loaded, so I have to vote no for lack of information. Sorry.
Makes sense.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes, motion carries 5-2. Includes that. Reports, town council reports. Bob?
Nick Recupero asked me to make an announcement for him. I don't know if you want to do it, or you would still want me to do it?
Go ahead, Bob. They probably can hear you better than they can hear me.
All right, September 9th, at the Lowell Middle School, household hazardous waste will be available for any Lake County resident from Saturday, 9 to 2. That's this Saturday.
Lowell Middle School, correct, Bob?
Yes, and they don't take paint anymore.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you. Any other town council reports?
Yeah, I'd just like to say, the event that Colleen Scheven put on, Saturday with the help of the parks and all the volunteers, great job, it was well attended from what I saw with cooperation with the farmers market, and, in only 3 years under your leadership to be able to get that many people there and doing what you're doing is awesome, so just keep it up in the years ahead.
Thank you. It was a great turnout this year, and...
Great weather, a little warm, but great weather.
Yeah, there was still
Yeah.
nice breeze.
Yep.
Nice to see all the events for the little kids.
Yeah.
Good job.
Town attorney?
No report.
No report. Clerk treasurer?
No reports, please.
No report. Town manager?
More streets, where the, approximately where, the water lines cut over just south of the well house, by Dr. Mish, at 140th will be closed starting tomorrow and Thursday. They will be paving that area to, essentially start closing out that project. So there will be, local detours for anybody coming through that area, just to be aware of. And then we had an informational meeting for the Shades road paving project, which will be broken up into 2 seasons, given the volume of work that needs to be done. So we'll do one half of the first phase this year, then Milestone will come back and do the second half of the paving next year. There will be some local road closures for that too, because there will be a box culvert being installed on 141st. As well as, and we do ask for patience from the public, we will be installing storm drains into that area of the town, which had not previously had storm drains, so there will be some inconveniences caused as part of the installation of that infrastructure.
First time they're really getting good roads though, isn't it?
I've been told by the people that showed up that it will be the first time that area is being paved in 40 or 50 years, so probably since the incorporation of the community.
I have a question for you, Chris. I keep getting complaints from former police chiefs and residents that live on 130 First Place, the road that goes up by Rosati's and then goes up around by Edison Street. Do we have plans for that?
We are aware that it's a bad road. If you can find me $1 million or so, we can pave it next year.
Yeah, but we need to...
It's on the hot list for the projects that need to be done, but we have a substantial backlog of road.
Well, they're on my back saying I'm doing nothing.
There's unfortunately a number of areas in the town that are like that, yes. That is one of them and very well known.
That's bad. That's very built.
Yeah.
Not as bad as one that are getting fixed right now.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Thanks, Chris. Director of Operations, Mr. Kim. No report. Police Department, Chief?
Good night, sir.
No? Fire Department?
Yeah, just 2 things. As you can imagine, the weekend was pretty busy being a holiday. Over the course of 3 days, we did 42 calls. Culture critical, we had a structure fire, as well as an incident on the lake and 2 mutual-aid structure fires, so everywhere around us was real busy. To add to it, we've been down an engine due to some repairs. While that was down, we were down another engine on Friday and Sunday, which have since been fixed, so there are going to be some costly repairs coming up.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Written communication, Chris, is there any, nothing, okay. Public comment, any public comment?
Question wasn't answered, so I'm gonna ask it again. The income from the vendors, is that being deposited in the park department? Who's handling that income coming in? And the other question was, any income that is profited, where will that go? If there's profit made, you're spending, you know, you have
I
20,000
don't
feet
believe there'll
money,
be profit made.
but you don't know that. I'm asking, if there is.
If we did, we
if
would
there
put it
is,
into the parks. I
in the
would
parks.
Put it back into the parks if that was the right thing, Chris.
Okay, and then the vendors that are being charged to set up, who's charging them? Where does that money go? Where's that fee go?
I will take the questions.
At the end of the public comment.
Okay,
At the end of
thank you, I
public comment.
appreciate it.
Thank you, no, thank you.
Jerry Broaders, 14513 Morse. Just wanted to follow up on that same number 11. I'd like to follow up on Bob's question. I think what Bob meant in his question was, well, when you're having a winter festival, obviously it's not so much that you want the snow, Chris, and the ice, that's what you do want. But if a snowstorm does come and nobody could get to it, will there be an insurance policy in place for a catastrophe like that? Again, a festival without patrons, if you can't get to it, then again, it sits vacant, Bob. So my question is, will there be a safety valve in such form as an insurance policy of that nature for would that fall under catastrophic weather?
Okay, we got the question.
Thank
We'll
you.
answer it at the end, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Oh, I'm sorry, I had one other question. Follow-up on Mary Jones' question, regardless of what the profits and where the profits go to, will the $20,000 be paid back immediately first? Thank you.
Greg Parker, 14823 Moore Street, Cedar Lake. I'm going to give you a preview of tomorrow night, because I'm going to ask this question tomorrow night too, and I'm going to get enough time to maybe have an answer for us, if you don't have one tonight. But I'd like to know what the current status is of the lighthouse well for the east side water, right, what the status is of that right now, and what the current supply is for that. Just for informational purposes. Thank you.
Star Wars 10290 is 138th place. So I promised the lady at the library that I would bring this up, and it seems like when I come here, I like to talk about safety, and this is about safety, specifically the Smart 911 system. So last week we had a boil water advisory. I guess it was an advisory. I just see boil water, so I just boil my water until I get it all clear. But I went to the library, and I was talking to the lady there at the library, and she said to me, well, you know, nobody told us about this. And I said, oh, okay. So it sounded as if somebody who worked there, and I don't quite recall, came in and said, oh, don't you know there's a oil advisory? Well, they have water fountains in their lobby area or their entrance area, so people would come in and drink that water. And we started talking more about it, and she said, well, I don't even know about how the businesses that are in the affected area, meaning, say, restaurants that are on 133rd, how are they notified? I said, I don't know. I haven't been here that long. I don't know how they used to do it. I assume someone used to do it. I don't know how they do it now. And then we started talking about the Smart 911, and I said, every time this comes up, there are people out there who are like, what's that? You know, how do you sign up for it? And I know it's on the town website, but since the last time I brought this up, I don't think anybody's really done anything with it. So I started thinking about it more, and I said, when I was in the working world, pretty much everything that I did was covered by a policy of some sort. So I have a couple questions about that. And specifically, last time I asked who's in charge of administering Smart 911, everybody just kind of looked at each other and no one gave me an answer. And so I'm asking it again, this time a little bit more pointed. Because I don't know how things work behind the scenes, but it seems to me that there should be a policy about how to administer the Smart 911 program in the community, to make sure that people know about it, to get them to sign up for it, and then to get the community to use it. And also within a policy, there's always someone who's in charge of that policy, and it's in black and white. So my question is there a policy? I think there should be one if there's not, and who's in charge? So we can all pretend that, we're not going to have any emergencies or bad situations. Since I brought this up in May, I had started making a short list of things that, well, it would have been nice if they let everybody know about this, but I didn't get any text alerts. On the other hand, I do get things from about road closures that I do appreciate. I don't know which department puts those out, but those are very helpful, because then I just avoid that. But I had started making a short list of things that I thought could be alerted, residents could be alerted. And I think that the more that we do it, the more people get used to it. And I don't think that you can be over-informed. You can opt out for things you don't want to get alerts for. So, we can probably say, oh, hey, nothing bad ever happens in Cedar Lake, but I'm sure that the people in East Palestine, Ohio, never thought they'd have a train derailment. I don't think the people in Lahaina thought their town was going to burn down. And with climate change, global warming, and all that stuff, we could have a flash flood. So how are people going to know? So in my mind, I don't think that there's been any progress made, and I'd like to know who's in charge of it, because, hey, we don't live in paradise. Oh, but paradise burned down too, so, here we are. So, again, my two questions are, is there a policy for Smart 911, and who is in charge? Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President. Good evening. Lester C. Caper, 8602 Lakeshore Drive. I was just wondering about the appointments to the Economic Development Commission, if they're residents of Cedar Lake or not.
That's a quick one, yes.
Hello. Hi. Maggie Ailey, 14819 Moore Street. My question, and I don't know if this is relevant tonight or tomorrow, I know that there's been a notice put in the paper, and we are receiving certified letters from Lawton Development about a public hearing on rezoning, and the last planning commission, it was delayed, or they asked for the public hearing for this month, and it was delayed. So why is the plan commission not involved, and why is there already a public hearing scheduled? I thought the planning committee approves that, not Lawton or the town council. Just wondering.
Kevin Tolt, 9725E West 129th Place. I just want to read a portion of resolution number 1337 that you guys passed, and it says, whereas the town council of the town council of the town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana, approved the ecosystem restoration project and the associated funding sources for this project. I would ask any of you five who voted for this resolution, if you could cite any meeting or tell us at what meeting you approved or even mentioned $4.4 million in wastewater funds for this project as stated in this resolution. And I want to know where was the transparency, because it's not there.
Gail Brandon, 7019 West 139th Place. I just wondered when the corrected agenda and the document pack will be available for the citizens. Thank you.
Yes?
Yes.
He's the man.
Good job, yeah.
Brenda Roberts, 15008 Morris Street. We're all looking forward to this meeting tomorrow night because we the people are against this PUD, I believe. Now, for the same reasons, the water issue, the wildlife issue, there's all kinds of problems connected with that. But and the thing is, I just found out that a certified letter that came to me was not asking me for soliciting money or suing me for anything. It was a letter from Lawton. Okay, I will bring that up tomorrow because I do not accept certified letters without knowing what they are. And the town of Cedar Lake did not inform me, and it was sent out at our Labor Day weekend, which is also sort of tricky. But we'll talk about that tomorrow. Now, what I have for you tonight is, just 2 days ago, a young fawn was mutilated in front of my house, 15008 Morris Street. The DNR had to come out and shoot the poor thing. Now, this is happening all the time. Deer have been killed. One that was living at my porch was killed. Young animals. One of the great horned owls was killed so that the other owl abandoned the nest and the baby died. Now, you know I'm for wildlife around here. And what I need to know from you is, when I went to what's it called, in Crown Point for deer signs, what is that called? They put out deer signs a couple of years ago without any problem. But the people are not watching and following that, and some of them even speed up to kill them. Now, I am suggesting, and I don't know if I have to go to you or if I can just go to the county, but it's Cedar Lake property on the west side of Morris Street from Reeder Road to 153rd. It's Cedar Lake property. I don't know if you have to have a say-so on that too, an agreement, or if I can just go and have them reduce the speed limit from 40 miles per hour to 30 miles per hour. It is Cedar Lake, up to 153rd. So I don't know who has to approve that. I want it done. And I think with great reason, I can document everything. So
Thank you. Thank you.
please look up that.
We'll look it up. Thank you. Any additional public comment? Any additional? Public comment is closed. We'll come up with some responses. I hope. Chris? You want to lead us off?
Yeah. The income from the vendors, the Cedar Lake Farmers Market is handling the vendors, so the vendors and sale of the vendor spots is being handled through them. So it's not involving the town. If there is a profit, it could go into the parks non-reverting fund. Insurance policy, the town carries multiple insurance policies. I will leave it to the attorneys to decide and classify what is catastrophic weather and not. I'm not a weatherman, nor am I an attorney.
Question was, would you get a policy?
And so we will go from there. Hopefully we have snow for our snow event, that would be nice.
I just have a suggestion, instead of a rain date, could we have a snow date where we ask the vendors, like, if this date doesn't work, there's a blizzard? No.
I believe we looked at several dates in that kind of area, and we honed in on the one that didn't already have an event planned for it. So if we did have a weather date to fall back on, it would be in direct conflict with other surrounding events in the area. It could be something that the Parks Department looks forward to moving forward. And any, if it does make a profit, it would get put into the Parks Non-Reverting Fund. Status of the well house and the supply, I'll have to talk with my attorney. There is incredible amount of security surrounding water sources and what can be released. So that one will be one we discuss, and we'll look forward to it tomorrow. I will have, for the E911, the library not being notified, we'll have to double check to make sure that they're on the rave notification signed up. I believe when our water and superintendent sends out those notifications for the water department, he also checks the box to make sure that we're sending them to all the address or phone numbers that we have on file through the water utility. So they should have received it. We will double check on that. As far as a policy, I do believe we've got one. It is a county authorized software that we use, and they have their own policies on top of that. And as far as who's in charge, same as before, the department heads handle their own individual departments. So police sends out police, fire sends out fire, public works sends out public works related items. EDC, yes, it's a requirement that they be residents of the community to serve on that board. As far as the public hearing, that would be something I'd have to discuss with our attorney for the planning commission for that specific item, and the director, or the planning director. Resolution 1337 was, I don't know, Dave, you want to answer that one? I think that was pretty straightforward, cut and dry.
Yes, I think the resolution being approved pretty much covers that.
Yep. We will get the corrected agenda and packet out as soon as humanly possible, given the amount of work that we've got in a holiday week, 4 days, so we'll work to get that corrected and out, ideally tomorrow. And then the animals are reduced speed, I believe that would fall under local. I would defer to Dave on that one, if that's a local ordinance, especially given that a section of that road could still be in county inventory.
It could, it just depends on how the county highway department feels about that. Sheriff, I would ask though that the council police chief take a look at that in terms of speed.
I just need to clarify where Brenda's referring to, because she said Reeder Road to 153rd, which Reeder Road doesn't connect, Morris does, but.
Yeah, no,
She
I
did
mean,
describe on the
between
west
that,
side of
Are you talking
At
about
Reeder
on Morris?
Road,
And from
it goes from 30 miles per hour to 40 miles per hour, and they
109.
put on the.
Are you talking about?
149.
149.
Okay, so you're talking about Morris?
Just
Okay.
right at the end of the golf course.
I can take a look at it.
I mean, okay,
That's all
please do,
jurisdictional.
because I think it's very, very important, and it does belong to Cedar Lake.
It does, correct?
So I don't know if the department in Crown Point can do that, and how.
I will take a look at it.
Thank you very much.
And Ms. Roberts, when you say, so are you asking for like deer crossing signs?
I have
In that
them.
area?
I did that myself. I
did?
got them a couple of years ago, but no.
It's still.
They just go.
Yeah.
They
Oh,
go
so
from
fast.
30, Reeder Road, I don't know.
It's
9 mile stretch, all these things.
It's not
More than
Morris.
hours,
It's
anyway,
Morris.
okay.
The road to Morris.
Yeah, it goes from 30 to 40. They step on the accelerator and go. And when they're coming up the hill towards Cedar Lake, they step on the accelerator and think, oh, well, I gotta get into that 30 mile an hour. It's terrible. They go 60 mile an hour in front of my house sometimes. I
Thank
swear.
you. This meeting is adjourned. Next meeting is
I just had a comment about.
September 19th.
September 19th.